Hey folks, welcome to the latest edition of AC's Life Coaching Moment. My name is Angel Cartagena. I am a life coach, and today I actually want to talk to you about an issue that I regularly deal with my clients, and that is what I like to call calendar management. Oftentimes, one of the things that as we get to know each other, clients will say, man, how do you do everything that you do, right? Like they're aware of the fact that, I'm a college professor. I am a life coach. I'm also working on a doctorate of my own. And so I have to balance these three roles of life coach, professor, and student. And that's on top of all my family obligations and everything else going on in my life. And so they oftentimes ask me, how do you do that? And so I was hoping to share just, three quick ideas with you if you're someone who falls in that situation of struggling with time management. That's what most people call it. I call it calendar management. And I'm actually going to start with the first idea I'm going to introduce to you. Will explain to you why I call it calendar management and not time management. The first principle I want to teach you has to do with what I call mindset. In other words, if you want to make the most of your time, if you want to be productive, you have to have a right mindset about time. And the right mindset is this: there is no time management. There is no such thing as time management. Let me show you what I mean. There are 24 hours in a day that is made up of the same number of seconds, minutes, and hours. A week still has 7 days. A month still has 4 weeks. And the whole point is this, that we don't control time. It comes in set increments. We don't control whether it comes or whether it goes. We don't even control how much of it we have. It's not anything that we can really manage. And so the idea of time management is a misnomer. If you really want to be productive with your time, then the first thing you have to do is adopt the proper mindset, which is that so-called time management is about you management. It's about us management. It's about me management. That you manage yourself, not the time. You don't control time. You don't control when it comes. You don't control when it leaves. You don't control how much of it you get. You have the time that you have, but it comes in the same increments at the same speed for everyone. And yes, I am aware that sometimes it feels like it's going slower, and other times it feels like it's going faster. The whole idea, though, is it comes and goes at the same rate, and you don't have any control over any of it. What you have to do is control yourself. What does that mean? You have to look at yourself, at how you are living and how you are using time, and then make changes in your habits if you are not making the most of your time, which leads me to the other 2 points I want to share today. The first one the second principle, right? The first one is mindset. The second one I'll call clarity of priorities. Clarity of priorities. And the best way for me to explain this to you is to actually talk to you about something that's already very well known. And by the way, if you have not read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you owe it to yourself to read that book. When people ask me, what one book has helped you succeed the most, I usually will tell them, after the Bible, it's Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of those habits is what he calls first things first. Now, for those of you not familiar with the book, one of the ways that he illustrates this, and it's just so powerful, is he'll be making a presentation, and he has a jar on the podium, and there are rocks in it, and he'll take the jar, turn it over, and let the rocks out. Then he'll ask someone from the audience if they'll come and put the rocks back in the jar. And what he says is that it is seldom that anyone puts all of the rocks back in the jar, even though all the rocks were in the jar when they started. And what he explains is that the trick to getting all the rocks in is you got to get the big ones in first. And so the question becomes, what are the big rocks in your life? Because see, oftentimes one of the ways that we are unproductive is that we handle so many different rocks and we try to deal with so many of them. And listen, the truth is there's some rocks in our lives we just got to get rid of. We got to focus on the big ones. Now the question is, how do you do this? Well, the way you identify what the big rocks are is really you need to have a clear vision of your purpose and your mission. In other words, you need to know what it is that you are trying to accomplish. Because once you do, listen, when you have a clear picture of what it is you're trying to accomplish, listen, now it makes it very easy to tell whether you should or shouldn't be doing something, because now with everything that comes up, the question you ask is, does this help me with my mission? Does this help me with my vision? Does this help me move forward? And if not, right? And so I've used the example in the past of, you see some kid in high school sits there all day long playing video games, and when you ask him, what do you want to be when you grow up? He says, a doctor. Not at this rate. Not at this rate, because people who become doctors study very hard in high school, study very hard in college, study very hard in medical school, internship, residency, all of that sort of stuff. It takes years and years of study to become a physician. And especially if you're going to be a specialist in any area of medicine, it takes years of work and study and progress. And so I say that to you to say this, that clarity of priorities has to do with you having such a clear vision and purpose, such a clear picture of what you're trying to accomplish, that you can decide your priorities. Listen, which are the big rocks and which are the little rocks. And the little rocks sometimes have to be sacrificed if that means getting the big rocks taken care of. Does that make sense? And so here's the last thing I'll talk to you about that really blessed me, and it is focus. So the third thing is focus. Someone recently said, and I totally and completely believe it, that we are the most distracted generation in the history of the world. We have way too many things that are asking for our attention, whether it be our phones, our iPads, television, computers, and so one of the results of this is there are many people who have fooled themselves into thinking that multitasking is the answer. How many times have you heard someone take credit for, oh, I'm a great multitasker? But here's the thing. Studies show that when you multitask, you actually accomplish less than if you focus, that there is a certain amount of energy that is required to move from task to task, that the energy lost essentially diminishes your productivity. And so what you need to do is to learn, listen, once you've identified what the big rocks are, you need to focus on what those are. Let me quickly teach you something that I learned, I've put into practice in my life, and it has served me well. It's called the 60-60-20 rule, although I want to be honest with you, the way I practice it is the 60-60-30 rule, but here's what it is. You need to decide what are the things that are most important to accomplish your purpose. And so, for example, as a life coach for me, marketing is important. Reaching out to clients is important. Studying to improve my skills as a life coach, that's important. And so what I'll do is in the morning when I am freshest, and by the way, this is all based on studies, when your mind is sharpest, when your body is rested, when all of your faculties are most attuned, get yourself like an egg timer or something similar to that. Do not use your phone. Do not use your iPad. Do not use your computer. Why? Because all those things will then bring up notifications that will distract you, and you want to try and follow that, and you know you do it, so don't even give me the look, because it happens. You and I both know it happens. It happens to me. And so when I use the 60-60-20, my phone is on airplane mode or just completely shut off, depending on what the battery is like. iPad, shut off. Computer, shut off unless I'm writing. That's one of the things I do during 60-60-20. And so I take this timer and I set it to 60 minutes. And with everything shut off, door closed, everyone knows I am not reachable unless it's an emergency. And I define emergency as your hair's got to be on fire. Then I do that work and I don't look up until the timer goes off. I then take 5 minutes. If you in that 5 minutes, if you report to someone that might need you, check. I give you permission to check your email during those 5 minutes just to make sure the boss doesn't need you quickly. Otherwise, use that 5 minutes to get some water, to walk and stretch your legs, to get yourself a snack. Come back, do it again, 60 minutes. And everything shut off, focus on your task, and then the 30 minutes is give yourself 30 minutes to rest, which is get some lunch. For me, for example, my wife and I both work at home, so I connect with her. Baby, how's your morning been? I play with my dogs. My thing is to try, because here's the thing, you want to unplug completely. And then when I come back in the afternoon, that's when I do stuff like answer emails, answer phone calls, do all of the sort of busy work that doesn't require the attuned energy that I have in the morning. Does that make sense? And so I hope that this works out for you. That think about it, having the proper mindset, having clarity on your priorities, and having focus can help you to be a much more productive person. Hey, thanks again. This has been AC's Life Coaching Moment. If you need some more information on what my life coaching practice provides, you can always go to www.angel-cartagena.com. Anyway, take care and have a great week.